Hi, I'm Dick Wagner. Today at the Crest Network, I want to talk to you about sales influence. And just to be clear, sales influence, the word sales in the situation of the restoration industry is somewhat interchangeable with the word marketing. So we're really talking about marketing influence in the case of those marketers that are watching it. One of the things that you really need is your client's attention. The fact is that you can be one of the most credible people in your marketplace. You can have a brilliant and well recognized company name or brand or your service. But the fact is that if people don't know how to get in touch with you, if they don't know how to reach out to you, if they don't know how to interact with you, the bottom line is that it's not going to translate into successful sales for you. And let's face it, that's the whole point of you being on the company payroll and being out pounding on doors every day is to generate business. Your client needs to have curiosity. Once you get somebody's attention, the fact is you can easily lose it. Your challenge is to get and hold the prospect's curiosity. You have to say things, do things that keep them motivated, keep them curious. I always say you can make your client thirsty, but you can't force them to drink unless you make them thirsty. It's kind of like leading the horse to water, but you can hit them over the head with a 2x4 and they're still not going to drink if they don't want to, if they're not thirsty. So you have to make your client thirsty. That's sort of the equivalent of the word curiosity. You want them curious. They know what they have at the moment, but they don't know what they're missing, and they really want to know what they're missing. The better you are at being able to give them the feeling that they're missing something, they'll be far more motivated to want to know more. And of course, that means far more curious. They also have desire. Desire really is that gap. It's that section where someone is at the moment and where they'd like to be. The more you can stoke a prospect's or a client's desire to change his reality, the far better they will remember you, the far more curious they will be, and the greater the desire they will have to change that reality. The more you're able to influence them, the more you stoke their desire. Whatever is in it for them creates in their mind an emotional want. Now, I notice I didn't say need, I said want. People buy based on emotion and then they rationalize their buying decision using some sort of logic. People have envy. Desire creates a segment of envy. Envy is kind of like desire, but with a turbo boost, with an extra shot of adrenaline. Desire is powerful, envy is really high. It's up there. And oddly enough, this is human nature. When they want, this is your clients now, when they want something they don't have, their desire drives them to get it. If they want something that other people have, their frustration, their happiness will bug them and gnaw at them until they finally get it. So make sure that you engage people in the emotional journey. The fact is, people forget what you say, but they remember how they feel. Salespeople can take prospects. These are your plumbers, your agents, and other clients. You can take them on an emotional journey. The very, very best way to do that is through stories. There are several different videos on the concept of telling stories in the marketing. We're going to be putting another one on in the very near future, an updated one. The emotional journey that a prospect goes on when you take them on that journey, they feel the pain of where they are and they feel what the fulfillment will be like in their far better future. It's up to you to paint that picture. It's up to you to tell that vivid emotional story. Yeah, I said earlier, people buy with their hearts. They're making their purchase and their decision based on emotion, and then they justify it with their head. In other words, they're using logic and rationale to justify why they made their emotional decision. If you can't make the return on investment, the ROI case for them working with you rather, there is no sale. You better get really good at developing stories that create an emotional desire and envy in them, in your client, so that they'll make the emotional decision to do business with you. Scarcity. People value rarity and they don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Scarcity is an unusual thing. Back in the early 2020, but December, January, February, when there was a talk about the COVID-19, the coronavirus, uh, that pandemic caused scarcity. It caused scarcity of toilet paper. It caused scarcity of paper towels and hand towels. It caused scarcity of hand sanitizers and disinfectants. And now fast forward 10 months later, you still can't buy isopropyl alcohol in the drugstore. And if you can only buy 70%. You can't buy 94% or 97%. That's scarcity. People hoard it, people grab it, people want it when they can't get it. And so your success in some way is dependent on how good you can create the concept of scarcity of what you're offering. That could simply be that you don't just work with anybody. You are selective about which plumbers you will work with. You're selective about which insurance agents you'll work with. And part of that is because of what insurance carriers are behind the scenes that constantly jerk you around. Top salespeople highlight differentiation. And when you use differentiation in your selling and marketing strategies, buyers start to understand and realize that they may miss out on something. And so scarcity is a powerful form of getting people to want something. Inclusion is a great way to motivate them as well. It almost seems like scarcity and inclusion are completely opposite. Not quite. People don't want to be left out. So, yes, there's the scarcity, but you can bring more people into the fold, into doing business with you, because they want to feel included. And so inclusion sort of works along the concept of the herd mentality. Herd, H-E-R-D, herd as in that picture on your left corner there, sheep following each other, all of the people's hands together. Um, Everybody wants to do what everybody's doing. If you think about it, how does Apple sell 50 million iPhones of a specific model, even when you already have an iPhone? Because people want to follow other people. They have the herd mentality, and Apple is one of the great ones in our world for effectively creating the herd mentality. And for a period of time, you also know they use scarcity. Oops, sorry, we're out right now. It'll be 2 weeks before any more come in, and people line up. People line up overnight in front of the store to be one of the first to get it. The more you help your buyers feel included in the process or doing business with you, the more they'll want to move forward and to work with you more often. And then last is commitment. Ultra high sales performers. This is you as sales and marketing people. You have to get your buyers to agree to a next step. Whatever that next step is should be clearly stated to your client or your prospect, and then get their commitment. Your next step could be, I will call you next week on Wednesday afternoon. Your commit and get them to say, okay, great, I'll look for your call. Your commitment or your next step, their commitment or your next step might be, I will be back in 30 days to visit you, and when I come back, I will be bringing you a new Maven article. You want them to say, okay, great, I agree. You want them to commit to acknowledging your next step. It could be you're talking with them on the phone and you want them to commit to visiting with you when you come into their office in 2 days at 10 in the morning. State that and get their commitment. Get them to agree to that next step. The very best marketers ask for a commitment at the right time, and they get the buyer to publicly commit. I mean, they get the buyer to say it out loud, and ideally in front of other people, their fellow coworkers. And even better, yes, it's great when they will verbally commit to it, but even better is when they do it in writing. And one of the ways you can do it in writing is to send out an email confirming it and asking them to please confirm it back. Another way is to send them a calendar invite. They either are going to ignore it or they're going to click on as having accepted it. That's commitment. Most salespeople, most marketers are scared to death that the client will say no, so they never ask for a commitment. That's a horrible mistake. If they're going to say no, they're going to say no. Move on. But if you don't ask them, they're never going to tell you. We've been talking about sales influence. I'm Dick Wagner. Thanks for watching the Crest Network. Remember, this video and lots of videos are on the Crest website for members only. Thanks. Bye-bye.